Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today, I think we have a very juicy update, mostly regarding XRP. And honestly, I think this reveals quite a lot as to why things are happening to this crypto. Really, it's quite a wonderful video, I think. First of all, the White House. What have they just done? Well, they let go a new fact sheet, and the entire community has just been actively pursuing every single detail of this fact sheet to kind of understand what it means. In fact, James Fillon said, fact sheet, White House releases its first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets. And now, consistent with their mandates, this is why the CFTC, why the SEC is doing everything it possibly can to elbow the CFTC out and grab all the power that it can to regulate the digital asset space, because it's written down. It's literally showcasing right here. The reports encourage regulators like the SEC and the CFTC, consistent with their mandates, to aggressively pursue investigations and enforcement actions against unlawful practices in the digital asset space. And again, it's interesting because right now a very big discussion is ongoing whether or not, Gary Gensler is following the right code of conduct and whether or not exactly what they're doing is right. It's a battle of just versus unjust and what we personally perceive about all of this. But that's not what's at hand right here. What's at hand right here is the fact that SEC and CFTC are also battling in this pursuit. And we don't know if the SEC is really wanting to go for all these enforcement actions, but at least the investigations and the enforcement actions are, I guess, just kind of like partially mandated, at least from higher up. In terms of, I guess they could still choose, right, pure investigation or complete enforcement action, but it doesn't say in this little piece, like, no, it's going to try to minimize enforcement actions because obviously it's against unlawful practices, so you want to increase the enforcement actions against those. However, this definition of unlawful practices is very broad, and the SEC likes to see a lot of different good crypto projects under that little ball as well. There's a couple of different guys who are trying to also point out that a lot of the things which they've stated just don't make a lot of sense because, well, if you look at all the things they've written down, from one perspective, they're completely saying, hey, well, we really want to provide a lot of U.S. firms with a lot of developing power. We want to help them innovate, want to support them through every way, shape, or form, of one of which is Ripple. They didn't quit the U.S. They're still staying here. On the other side, then, well, that's exactly the opposite of what they're doing. They literally state, provide innovative U.S. firms developing new fintech, literally Ripple, with regulatory guidance, which is the opposite of what they're doing, best practices sharing, and technical assistance. Yeah, if this is something that's just absolutely not true as far as I'm concerned, that is this. But it's interesting then, I guess, from what came out from this. I should add, you might look at this video and think, Dusty, what's going on? You dumbass. Are you like a day late or a day and a half late or whatever? Yeah, as I put over on Twitter, for some reason, the entire video I recorded yesterday morning, it came out like this all of a sudden, so everything sounds like some very crazy thing happened to the microphone, and I hope it's not going to happen again, but sometimes you get that when you're abroad. I don't have my normal setup, so things went a little bit wrong, and I recorded 2 videos in a row, one of which was right, one of which was wrong, and sometimes it is what it is. But am I excited about this new regulation, this new approach? Well, it kind of depends on what's going to come out of this. As I've said before, the SEC has taken by the way, I should already be out of the hotel room, so I'm hoping if you get a knock, if you all of a sudden see me, it's going to be because it's already 20 minutes too late, all right? Just so you guys know. A little piece of information. SEC, it depends on what step of stance they're going to take after this. Apparently, the Gensler said he supports the CFTC having oversight over Bitcoin and Ether. Now, when I'm reading that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're starting to change their mind a little bit. Maybe the CFTC is going to be a bigger player in all of this and they have to kind of give in a little bit. Could that be so? Well, I guess let's hope. It's a very big deal. I was very surprised that it came out with such a nuanced statement. The White House with both sides of this, even though it's hypocritical. But I'm also very surprised that Gary Gensler is saying, well, we might actually want to give away Bitcoin and Ether, which is still not much, but then it kind of shows that Gary Gensler does not want to keep all crypto for himself. He really just wants to keep those quote-unquote securities, which are basically 99.9% of all the cryptos. At least he doesn't want 100%, I guess. At least he's willing to share just some little pieces. But yeah, you guys understand that situation. Things are getting interesting. I guess the ball's going to start rolling for the next couple of days. We'll see what comes out. In terms of the lawsuit, there's a lot that's happening. Actually, a whole lot, right? Gensler lawsuit. Almost every single day, this is just the 2 things that I see popping up now. It's crazy. Gensler said it's a security if the investing public is anticipating profits based on the efforts of a common enterprise. The courts already rejected that because it collapses two separate Howey prongs into one, and we do not interpret the Howey test to be so easily satisfied. Obviously, what the SEC is doing is wrong, which is why they're trying to change up their story, change up yada, 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 but that's literally what we're seeing right now. And for that reason, I guess this lawsuit is getting more interesting. You gotta also understand, there's one big other piece that happened. I think Jeremy put it over on his profile a little while ago. Here we go. The Chamber of Digital Commerce amicus brief is very helpful for Ripple. What happened? Well, he wasn't expecting it, to be honest, but, well, the Chamber of Digital Commerce filed for a motion for leave. So basically, they filed for the approval to file an amicus brief to basically join the lawsuit. The motion, memorandum of law, declaration of Loya Tesla, and the amicus brief are below. And what is basically happening right here is the Chamber of Digital Commerce also basically is going to help out XRP holders to a certain degree. Read this. So Jeremy says part 1 is kind of vague, as they say, legal precedent provides that the Howey test or precedent, I still don't know how you say this, should be applied to determine in the initial offering of a digital asset is an investment contract. That is difficult, but okay. 2 and 3 are easier, and they're good because it apparently, right, it really is really good. And the Chamber's disinterest in Ripple brings a lot of credibility to the brief because they don't really care about Ripple, obviously. It is well settled that the subject of an investment contract is not itself a security, meaning even if Ripple signed a contract with a party, that does not make XRP a security. It makes the agreement to sell XRP the investment contract. The law is unsettled as to secondary transactions of digital assets, which means if I'm selling you something now, for example, that is not a security transaction, or at least there's no strict law like that that provides that information. So the SEC's radical ideas, I guess, might not work out. The Chamber is very precise in its the asset itself is not a security argument. But look at the bonus, pointing out that the SEC's guidance says the asset itself is not a security, but SEC enforcement stated the exact opposite. Maybe John Deaton knows what he's doing after all. And finally, the Chamber discusses how there's no authority to suggest that secondary sales can be considered part of an investment contract, and so it's an important point for Ripple as pertains to potential damages if early sales are deemed for an investment contract. Good start. Yeah, I think that's very good. And they continue on. There's a couple things which have happened, but the most recent update is this. Third Party B files a motion to seal requesting redactions of the declaration of Party B filed by the SEC as an attachment to the SEC's motion for summary judgment. To be honest with you, there's a lot of different steps happening, but I think the biggest step is going to be in about 2 days from now. Right now, it's all sealing issues, sealing thoughts. About 2 days from now, we're going to see a lot of, I guess, big shifts. I'm also seeing this just now. Justice Department is establishing a nationwide digital asset coordinating network to combat the growing threat posed by illicit use of digital assets by the American public. Okay, I didn't even know about that, actually. I'm just seeing that right now. This is, of course, the big news that we got. This is a side piece, but still rather important, if you ask me. But I guess, guys, we'll talk about this a little bit later, most likely somewhere tomorrow. There's just so much going on. I don't even have enough time right now to tell you about all the different details. Also, it's not too important. It's not going to change the XRP price too much. The most two important parts are the fact that the White House came out with with some information. And as I said just now, the fact that the Chamber of Digital Commerce came in and it did not do an update on that just quite yet. In terms of lawsuit, we're getting closer and closer and closer to some juicy dates. Obviously, today we have a couple of different, was it yesterday? Today, I think, no, it's actually 2 days ago already. Damn, time flies. 2 days ago, we had a couple of sealing parts. And now, again, as I said, 2 days from now, we're going to have our main date. So if you're a XRP supporter, lawsuit follower, whatever, in 2 days from now, we're going to see a lot of very, very big things come out. And that's going to be very exciting. I'll most likely do a couple of videos still regarding that situation soon. You can see it on my channel. Just stick around, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.